World War II was a war of giants, and nowhere was this more true than on the high seas. We're talking about steel behemoths, floating fortresses bristling with guns the size of small cars. But even among these titans, one ship stood out, a battleship so quirky, so powerful, it earned a reputation for being one of the deadliest vessels of its time. This is the story of HMS Rodney, the ship that fired its massive guns like a sniper and played a key role in sinking Germany, his most feared battleship, the Bismarck. Our story begins in the 1920s. After the First World War, the great naval powers signed the Washington Naval Treaty to prevent a costly arms race. This treaty limited the size and number of new battleships. Britain, needing to replace its aging fleet, had to get creative. The result was the Nelson-class battleships, HMS Nelson and her sister ship, HMS Rodney. To save weight and stay within the treaty limits, their designers made a radical choice. Instead of spreading the main guns across the ship, they crammed all 9 massive 16-inch guns onto the front, in 3 enormous turrets. This gave Rodney a bizarre, unforgettable silhouette, all business at the front and almost nothing at the back. She looked less like a traditional battleship and more like a naval battering ram. These guns were the heart of the ship. Each one could hurl a shell weighing over 2,000 pounds, the weight of a small car, across a distance of more than 20 miles. Firing them was a seismic event. The concussion was so powerful that it could shatter windows, buckle the deck plating, and injure anyone standing in the wrong place. Sailors were ordered to stay clear of certain areas and even open their mouths to equalize the pressure. The crew affectionately nicknamed the 3 turrets A, B, and X, with X turret being the one closest to the bridge, notorious for the sheer blast it produced. Life aboard Rodney was anything but ordinary. Her unique design meant she had some strange handling quirks, but her crew loved her. They called her Rodnole, a nickname that stuck. For the early years of World War II, Rodney served in the Atlantic, hunting for German commerce raiders and protecting vital convoys. It was a tense, grueling job, sailing through seas infested with U-boats. But Rodney's moment of destiny was fast approaching. In May 1941, the German Navy unleashed its newest and most powerful weapon, the battleship Bismarck. Accompanied by the heavy cruiser, Prince Eugen, Bismarck slipped into the Atlantic to wreak havoc on British shipping. The Royal Navy threw everything it had into finding and stopping this menace. The initial engagement in the Denmark Strait was a disaster for the British. The pride of the Royal Navy, HMS Hood, was sunk in minutes by a shell from Bismarck, a devastating blow to British morale. The new battleship HMS Prince of Wales was damaged and forced to retreat. The hunt was now on, with the entire home fleet in hot pursuit, and among them was HMS Rodney. At the time, Rodney was actually supposed to be heading to the United States for a much-needed refit. She was old, her engines were worn, and she was in desperate need of repairs. But duty called. When the order came to join the chase, her captain, Frederick Dalrymple Hamilton, didn't hesitate. He turned his ship around and steamed towards the last known position of the Bismarck, pushing her aging engines to their absolute limit. The problem was, Bismarck was fast. After shaking off its pursuers, it disappeared into the vastness of the Atlantic. For more than a day, the British were searching blind. The fate of countless convoys, and perhaps the war itself, hung in the balance. The breakthrough came from an unlikely source. A lone Catalina flying boat, braving the treacherous Atlantic weather, spotted the German Titan. The chase was back on. But Bismarck was still hundreds of miles away, heading for the safety of a French port. The only British force close enough to slow it down was a group of biplanes, very swordfish torpedo bombers from the aircraft carrier HMS Ark Royal. These planes were ancient, nicknamed string bags by their crews. They were fabric-covered biplanes, seemingly no match for a modern battleship's anti-aircraft defenses. In a daring, almost suicidal attack in gale force, winds, and heavy seas, the Swordfish pilots flew through a storm of flak to launch their torpedoes. Most missed or hit the armored belt, doing no damage. But 2 torpedoes found their mark. One hit amidships, causing minor flooding. The other, however, was a 1 in a million shot. It struck Bismarck's stern, jamming its rudders hard to port. The mighty battleship was now trapped, unable to steer, circling helplessly in the Atlantic. Its fate was sealed. The Royal Navy's heavy ships were closing in for the kill. On the morning of May 27, 1941, the final battle began. Through the haze and rough seas, HMS Rodney and the battleship HMS King George V sighted the wounded Bismarck. Rodney's moment had come. From a range of over 20 miles, her forward-facing 16-inch guns roared to life. This is where Rodney's reputation as a sniper was forged. Her first salvos were astonishingly accurate. They straddled the Bismarck, meaning shells landed both in front and behind the target, a sign that the gunners had found the range. Very quickly, they began to score direct hits. Rodney closed the distance relentlessly, unleashing a torrent of steel. Her guns fired over 300 16-inch shells at the German ship. One of the early hits is believed to have knocked out Bismarck's main gun directors, effectively blinding it. Another shell might have hit one of the main turrets, silencing it permanently. The scene was apocalyptic. Rodney, with its strange, flat-topped silhouette, steamed steadily closer, its front guns spitting fire and smoke. Onlookers from other ships described it as watching a giant get methodically taken apart. The British ships circled the crippled Bismarck, pounding it from all sides. Rodney got so close, at one point less than 2 miles, that her main guns couldn't depress low enough to fire. She began using her secondary armament and even fired torpedoes, one of the only times in history a battleship has torpedoed another battleship. The Bismarck, unable to fight back effectively, became a burning, battered wreck. Its guns fell silent, its superstructure was a twisted mass of metal, but its flag was still flying. Finally, after nearly 2 hours of constant shelling, with the ship beyond saving and listing heavily, the German crew scuttled their vessel. It slipped beneath the waves, taking over 2,000 sailors with it. The sinking of the Bismarck was a monumental victory for the Royal Navy and a turning point in the war at sea. And at the center of that victory was HMS Rodney. The ship that was considered old, slow, and was on its way to the scrapyard had proven its worth in the most dramatic way possible. Her unique design, which put all her firepower up front, had allowed her to bring devastating force to bear on the enemy. The accuracy of her gunners that day became legendary. Firing those massive guns over such long distances and scoring hits so quickly was a testament to the skill and training of her crew. After the Bismarck, Rodney continued to serve with distinction throughout the war. She took part in the Malta convoys, supported the Allied landings in North Africa, Sicily, and Italy, and her guns pounded German defenses during the Normandy landings on D-Day. She was a workhorse, always there when she was needed most. By the end of the war, she was worn out, a veteran of countless battles. She was finally decommissioned and scrapped in 1948. But the legend of HMS Rodney, the quirky battleship with the sniper's aim, lives on. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes the most unconventional designs, in the hands of a determined crew, can achieve the most extraordinary things. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story of naval history, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more tales of the incredible machines and people who shaped our world. Let us know in the comments what other historical events you'd like to see covered. See you next time.